Hello, everybody. I'm glad you're here today. Today is March 9th, 2025. In this video, we're going to talk about getting ready for war. And it's not anything earth shattering. It's just the little things, y'all. It's a bunch of little things put together that's going to get us through what's coming. That's my opinion. You can do with that as you will. We're going to talk about some prepping things that you might purchase if you can. If you can't, that's okay. Just do the best you can as far as gathering food, your supplies. We're also going to talk about preserving food, like canning food, and maybe a couple of things that might help you if you're interested in learning how to do that. There are a million videos on YouTube. You need to, this isn't going to be one of them, but you can plug into a lot of those on YouTube and find something that really teaches you how to can, because I think that's a really good skill to know right now. I'm going to read out of my journal what I wrote this morning, and hopefully we'll have time to read out of the Bible what the Lord says, and it's very encouraging. All of it's encouraging. All right. This day, y'all, yesterday it was snowing here in the Panhandle. Today it's spring. Okay. So it's go figure. I don't know. This is normal for us. This is not abnormal. Now then, what I as I am listening to the news cycle, one of the things that stuck out to me in the last 24 hours was the news that the United States is no longer going to have military exercises with our European allies. We will go ahead and fulfill the year's commitment that we have with them, but beyond that, we're not going to schedule any more military exercises with our European neighbors. I find that interesting. I think that's telling. I also heard the analogy that the United States is becoming more imperial and less global, which I find fascinating. I'm not going to give you my opinion on it because I'm pretty ignorant about all of those ins and outs. I'm not the one to probably learn anything about that from, but I do find it fascinating. I do think we are pulling away. Is it isolation? Is that how y'all would describe it? What's going on? Put it in the comment section. What do you think is going on? There seems to be a very quick, it's happening very fast. The news cycle last week, after a long, quiet lull, was very exciting at the end of the week. And I don't mean exciting like good news. I just mean there was a lot of news. There was a lot going on. Of course, the Oval Office conflict with Zelensky really propelled a lot of stuff forward also. So that I know that prepping channels, I don't know that mine is just a prepping channel, but when there's not a lot to be alarmed about, prepping channels, there tends to be kind of a lull. Canadian Prepper and New York Prepper is actually pretty consistent in bringing reports of what's going on in Europe. That's why I really like listening to him. He also is pretty good about not being emotional about it, which is another thing I like. I do not like to be jazzed up and sensationalized. I don't like that. I don't like get ready, get ready, get ready, ready, because it's you've got 48 hours to get ready. Sometimes he says that, but most of the time he doesn't. Most of the time he says things are happening, things are coming. You would do good to get ready. It would be wise to get ready. So, and he's really into nuclear preparedness, nuclear war preparedness, which I think is interesting. I don't know what the odds are of that. I don't really care. But yesterday, I actually, while it was being a blizzard outside, I sat in front of the fire and embroidered and listened to his what to do in case of nuclear war series videos. And I appreciated those. And I'm like, my daughter came in and I said, look, some light listening I'm listening to. I just, you can never like get informed, I guess is what I'm saying. It's a good time to get informed. It's a good day to be a prepper. All right. Now, I know that it's March, it's early spring. There are not crops there are not a lot of vegetation ready, ripe to can and put up. But one thing you can always put up year round are potatoes that you just buy from the grocery store. All right. Now, yeah, you can grow your own potatoes. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying get you a bunch of potatoes at the grocery store and put them in cans. A quart of canned potatoes will feed a family for for a meal. So I do twice baked potatoes with those. Sometimes I fry those. Sometimes I, well, that's really basically the most I do. If it came, if it came right down to it, you could do a lot of things with just some ground beef seared and some potatoes in there. That'd be a good little meal. It would last you, stick to your ribs. Now, when it comes to canning anything, y'all, this is the book you need to get. The USDA home canning book. It is green. It's on Amazon. I got this. It was probably about $15. It may be more now. I have no idea. With the trade wars, I don't know what we're going to be able to get and what we're not going to be able to get, and what, now is the time to get it, because on April 2nd, some more things are going down. So that's, at least that's the word right now. I guess it could change. But this book, I know it has a lot of charts in it and a lot of words, but just it's simple if you just don't panic and just kind of read through it and go, oh, that's talking about 1,000-foot elevation versus a 2,000 to 4,000-foot elevation, because you have to have different pounds of pressure uh, depending on what elevation you are above sea level. Now, I can't tell you why. I wish I could. Like I said, this is not a canning channel. I guess if I thought long and hard, I probably would figure it out. But yeah, you need to do it properly. Canning needs to take place properly. I would not follow a YouTuber's canning advice. No way, no how. And y'all, I never can remember her name. Rose, is it Rose Red Homesteading? Is that who it is? She's a woman in probably her 70s. She dyes her hair red. She's a professor at, I want to say, Arizona State. I don't know. She's super smart. Or maybe it's Colorado. But she understands the science of preserving food, and she knows how to do it properly and safely. If you ever want to know how to can something, get on her channel. I'll try to get that. Y'all will find it. You'll find it. You'll find it. It's on YouTube. But y'all, you need to, and even like when you do can, and you're like, man, I noticed this. I make notes. Like I make notes right here, or wherever on the page, because I know I'm not going to remember it next time I can 10 quarts of potatoes. When I can 10 quarts of potatoes, or 15, or however many, I'm not real eager to do it again anytime soon. So I will have forgotten. So make your notes and be studious and be clean, and make sure your surfaces are clean. So do it properly. This book will tell you how. Okay, this is the everything book. So we'll leave it at that. That's a good thing to get. Also, y'all, you need the right tools for the right job. Now, as I've gotten older, I've kind of figured that out. So I try not to use my knife as a screwdriver anymore. I try to go find a screwdriver. But even when you're canning, something as simple as this, and I know this is not like rocket science for people, and this may be redundant for people, but a funnel like this can make canning so much easier. You can actually get these on Amazon with the magnet stick, which you don't even have to boil your lids anymore if you get those tight right lids. That I have some up there, I think. Anyway, it is very important when you do anything like canning, is to make sure you spend the money to get the right tools for the right job. It will make it easier. It will make it a positive experience. So I would encourage you. Potatoes are like not the easiest or the most fun to can. Okay, so I'm not saying start with potatoes. I'm not saying that. If you want to learn to can something easy, it's meat. Surprise, surprise, that shocked me. Putting up chicken. If you go to Walmart, y'all, if I were to give you advice about canning for the first time, man, I would go buy a thing of chicken, raw chicken at Walmart, at like chicken breasts, and then all you do when it comes, and you need to like not follow these directions, like really dive deeper than what I'm fixing to tell you, but literally you have your clean jars. You cut your meat in inch by inch squares. You put them in the jar raw. I do raw canning. I don't do the cooked. So I put the raw meat in there and wipe the lid and put the lid in the ring on, and then process it for the 90 minutes or 75 minutes, depending if you're doing quarts or pints. All right. So I would say canning meat is the best way to start canning. It's easy. Now, your canner's going to run for a long time. It's not going to be a 45-minute processing time. It's going to be 75 minutes or 90 minutes. It's going to be longer. But it's easy. Now, if you absolutely are afraid to buy anything and you're afraid of canning and all of that, what I would recommend you doing is canning water. Just seal water right at first. It won't matter if you mess up, and then when you're done, just open up the can. You can reuse. I mean, or you can save your water sealed. I guess it doesn't matter, but that is a good way of learning how the process works. Is just can some water. And it will be a learning, just understand this is going to be an afternoon of learning. You'll feel safe about it. You're not going to ruin it. You haven't invested a lot of money in it. If it doesn't seal, you haven't you haven't messed up. You haven't messed up. So that is my advice about canning. Now then, and I like to can. It always makes me feel good at the end of the day to see all those jars on my counter and go, well, we've got what, 10 more meals we can live off of if we need to. So there is that. Now then, another thing to consider buying right now. Before these trade wars began, I don't know what they're bringing. I don't even know if this matters or not. But a lot of people think that sourdough bread is the end all be all survival food. And or, and it is. I mean, I have sourdough starter in my refrigerator. I've made sourdough bread. I don't mind it. I don't love it. My kids love it. But so sourdough bread is great if you want to get a starter and let that be your third child or fourth child, or I don't know. I mean, you got to baby those things. So if you want to go down that road, you certainly can. But I like yeast bread personally. I like yeast rolls. Man, I can eat 3 of them in one sitting with honey and butter, a lot of butter, and warm. I mean, that's my gig right there. I mean, I could just gobble that up. So what I always make sure I have a lot of, because I have I have a yeast bread recipe I really like that I use all the time. You can buy a bunch of the packets at the grocery store, okay? And just keep these in your freezer, your refrigerator, whatever. They do have a date on them, right up here. Make sure you're buying in date. If it goes out of date, it's my understanding. I've used some that are out of date that aren't any good. So I always, from my experience, the date matters on yeast more than most other things. Maybe I may be wrong about that, but that's my personal experience. If you have something to say in the comment section that might enlighten others about that, you can certainly help us learn. I would invite you to do that. I always get the rapid rise mainly because I don't know this. I don't know. I just want to happen rapidly. I'm ready to go to bed I don't want to be cooking bread late at night. So that's my thing. So I would totally just get a bunch of these packets. You can put them, this is 3 loaves of bread right here. And I don't know, these are a little between $2 and $3 last time I bought some. So you can have a bunch of these if you're in a spot where you don't have bread, and you can start practicing bread making. Once again, a lot of videos, it's not that hard. And even when you mess up, usually it still tastes good. You can toast it, put butter and honey on it, and it's going to be just fine, y'all. So that is another piece of advice. You can also buy, like I have a lot of these in the freezer. This is the 2-pound. Oh, no, this is 1 pound. 1 pound of yeast. I have several of these in my freezer. These are like a freeze-dried brick already. No, not freeze dried. Vacuum sealed. Sorry, I got my wrong prepper term. Vacuum sealed. And so there are several loaves of bread. I've done the math before. I can't remember how many, but there are several loaves of bread in this. So if you want a year's worth of yeast, this will stay in the freezer really good for a long time, is my understanding. Google it, find out, whatever you're comfortable with. But if you think, okay, I want 6 months of food, 6 months of bread, the ability to make bread. So you've got to think, what are your ingredients? Oil, flour. For me, it's sugar and salt, yeast, water, eggs. Did I say flour? So those are the main basic ingredients that go in bread. So you can just multiply that. If this gallon jug of oil will make this many loaves of bread, how many loaves of bread will we eat as a family in a week if we can't get to the store? How many would I have to make? Then how many jugs of oil am I going to need? That kind of thing. So, you can do the math and figure that out, or I bet you Google could do it for you, or AI, or whoever. But these are great. They don't take up a lot of freezer space. And to me, it makes me feel better to know there's yeast in the freezer. So there's that. So those are my prepping tips. I'll look around this week, see if anything else strikes me as a prepping tip. But totally, those things are good to have. And go ahead and learn the skill of canning. That would be good. All right, now I'm going to read what I wrote in my journal this week, this morning. There are, like I said in my video yesterday, there's a lot of things happening very quickly. I'm curious as to what this next week, if it will be even faster as far as world events happening, or if it's going to be a quiet week. I don't know yet. It could go either way. It could go either way. I am not going to get in a lather either way. I'm just going to keep focused on Jesus, and I'm just going to plod away on my prepping place, okay? So, March 9th, 2025, this is what I wrote down when I was in worship with Jesus, and you can square it with God however you need to through prayer. All right, here we go. Whoever is not for me is against me. Therefore, once again, I say to you, dearest one, ready yourself, for the world's ways are about to tilt again. Do not be afraid. Instead, have an arsenal ready of my words, my stories, my ways written. Go to the supply room of your heart and find me there. Let me sustain you. This is what is ahead. You may be ready to tend the wounded. Remember, hearts need tourniquets as well. Medical supplies, my darling one, medical supplies will bode you well. As I told you in summers past, buy chicks. Now I tell you, bandages and strings to stitch. Tightly organize. For these are what will serve the greatest purpose. Stop the bleeding. Speak my name. Ready yourselves in me. So I'll leave that with you. You may do with that as you will. For a lot of reasons, I do not think our homeland is going to escape the actual war. It might. That's just my conclusion based on the best I know how to do with what I know. But I don't think we're as going to be lucky this time. I don't know. I hope so. I hope all wars stop. I hate them all. I can't even believe I'm also. Oh, I was going to tell y'all. I remembered this. It would be, while there's still a lull, while there's still time, while there's not panic buying. Obviously you need to, look and see what you can purchase. But also, there are a lot of good shows that you can watch that will teach you about wartime, especially World War II. Now, Downton Abbey may be one of them, all right, y'all? Well, can't we learn everything about life from Downton Abbey? Just about. But Wartime Farm is another one. Wartime Farm is something, I know I've mentioned it on this channel before. I believe there are 8 episodes, and it's about a group of people that they put in World War II England. Now, and it's farming. It was how farming was regulated and used in World War II to keep the Brits alive, because they're just an island, and the Germans actually just surrounded them. They couldn't get any supplies in food wise. So they had to learn how to make the most of what they had as far as agriculture. It's a fascinating series to watch, or I thought it was. So, or listen to. So I would encourage you. It's on YouTube. There's episodes of it on YouTube. Wartime Farm. Also, 1940s House is another series. Man, I can't. I'm maybe 4 episodes in that one. It's old. Well, both of them are kind of old, but the 1940s House really shows some of the emotion that is part of a family in crisis, in war crisis, the air raids, the Blitz, all of that going on over there in Britain. But we can't sit around saying to ourselves, oh, that'll never happen here. Haven't we all learned never to say never? Okay, I mean, I used to say that when I was stupid and young, but I don't say that anymore because I've learned anything can happen, even the unimaginable. So those are two, of course, Jericho. Y'all, if you're not watching Jericho once or twice a week, you should, because it's like prophetically accurate to what's going on right now in the world. Or at least that's my opinion. Oh my goodness, we don't have much time left. Okay, let's go to Luke chapter 12. This is our Lord speaking. See all the red? So I want to start Luke chapter 12, verse 4. Dear friends, don't be afraid of those who want to kill your body. They cannot do any more to you after that. But I'll tell you whom to fear. Fear God, who has the power to kill you and then throw you into hell. Yes, he's the one to fear. What is the price of 5 sparrows, 2 copper coins? Yet God does not forget a single one of them. And the very hairs of your head are all numbered. So don't be afraid. You are more valuable to God than a whole flock of sparrows. Okay, so you can go on and read the rest of that if you want to, or the whole chapter. I would encourage you to do so. But I just wanted to remind everybody that we have no fears. There's nothing to fear. God is going to take care of this, and he's going to take care of us. We are extremely valuable to him. And he to us, of course. He's everything to us. So hold on to that, y'all. Stay safe, America. From the pantry, this Gina Lima Charlie. I'm out.